Brought to you by Express Care Health and Skin Center. Get in, get out, get better.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are talking to Express Care's Dr. Jitka Lom about lower acid reflux and indigestion, something that everyone will experience at some point in their lives. Now let's check out now some of our viewer questions, Doc. Is there a certain time of the day where acid reflux symptoms are the worst? Jen from Mongmong writes.
Yes, Jen. Symptoms tend to be worse after eating because that's when your stomach is stimulated to make a lot of acid, and if you have that leaky valve, it'll travel up into your esophagus. And another thing that's interesting is that our body makes more acid at nighttime after 10 p.m. between about 10 and 2 a.m. So people will tend to suffer more when they've gone to bed and lie down at nighttime.
So that's, and that also goes back to not eating so late at night, right?
Correct.
Not eating a full meal.
Correct.
That can contribute?
Hopefully eating around maybe 5 or 6 p.m., allowing your food to digest and not having a heavy meal before bed.
Okay, Matthew from Jigo asks, what are some lifestyle and diet changes I can do to reduce acid reflux and indigestion?
That's the best way to go for it. So we want to cut back on our alcohol, our spicy foods, and our cigarettes. Those would be the top 3. From there, we want to reduce our citrus, meaning lemon and acidic type foods, also sour foods, and tomatoes. Those tend to be the other ones. Coffee and chocolate also. So you're like, what's left? So you want to eat very bland foods. Chicken and rice would be fine with not too much spice. Vegetables. The foods that you would feed to a young child that are not very strong in taste.
Oh man, that takes out all the good stuff.
It is hard.
The Kelagui and all that good stuff. All right, Selena from Santa Rita writes, what are common acid reflux symptoms to look for in infants? And we did touch on this a little bit earlier.
So infants can't tell you that they're suffering from chest pain or heartburn, but they will cough or wheeze, or sometimes just be very uncomfortable, spitting up a lot after they're feeding, and very uncomfortable after having just been fed, cranky and crying. Most of the time it's pretty obvious because they keep spitting up and even vomiting.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is endoscopy? And that's from Mike from Molesso.
Mike, an endoscopy is a procedure where a specialist takes a rubber hose with a camera at the end and threads it down through your mouth into your esophagus and takes a look all the way down into your stomach. And by looking inside, we can see how severe is the damage. Is there a tumor? Is there an ulcer? Yeah.
Okay, and how do you pronounce that again? So
Endoscopy.
I can get it right? Endoscopy, all right.
There you go.
I'm learning as we're going here.
Yeah.
Janice from Magana Heights writes, are there any home remedies for acid reflux and indigestion?
Right. So aside from adjusting your diet and so on, you can also lose a little bit of weight, because when you don't have so much pressure in your abdomen, then there will be less pressure pushing the acid up. You can also adjust the position of your bed, meaning raise the head of your bed a little bit so that you're sleeping on a bit of an angle so your acid doesn't travel upwards. And then as far as supplements, licorice, which is a herb that you can buy at the health food store, will coat your stomach a little bit. Some people find some improvement with apple cider vinegar, but basically it's a lifestyle and diet adjustment that should happen.
Okay, Rebecca from Sanhanya writes, are symptoms of acid reflux in men and women the same?
Pretty much. Most people will experience just that uncomfortable feeling in their chest, and sometimes it's hard for them to even describe it.
Okay, and I wanted to ask this, is why is it that when women are pregnant, they tend to get heartburn more?
2 reasons. When you're pregnant, you have very high levels of progesterone, which is one of the female hormones. And what that does is it kind of loosens the sphincter. And so you might not be very far along, even in the early stages of pregnancy, but you will be experiencing acid traveling up because the valve is not closing completely between your esophagus and your stomach. And then as your pregnancy progresses and you have a large tummy and a lot of pressure in the abdomen, there's not as much room for the stomach, and you may have some of the acid leaking up.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything else that we didn't cover about this topic that you'd like our viewers to know about?
Well, sometimes people mistake the discomfort of heartburn and they're blowing it off as just a digestion symptom, where they are actually having heart problems, because the esophagus and the heart are right next to each other. And so it's sometimes hard to distinguish. So especially if you're a man, if you're a smoker, and you're continuing to have chest pain, don't just assume it's heartburn. It may actually be your heart.
Okay, good
Yes.
advice. Thank you again for coming in. We always do appreciate it. Next